Hey babe, today I'm going to walk you through step by step a simple exercise in how to craft an 808 beat in Session View. The first step that I need to take is I need to load that 808 drum kit onto MIDI track 1. To do this, I'm going to head on over to Categories, click on the Drums tab, and now surely I could scroll through the different kits until I found the 808 kit. But the faster thing to do is to go up to my search bar, and I'm going to click and type in 808. And you can see that I actually have two different options that come up for drum racks. I have the core kit and I have the boom kit. For this demo, I'm going to select the core kit, but feel free to select whatever you'd like. I need to load this onto MIDI track 1, and there's two different ways that I can do so. The first way is simply to drag and drop. And now I'm just going to Command Z backwards so I can show you the other way. The other way is that I can select MIDI track 1 by clicking on the track title bar. So I'm not just clicking like anywhere down here, I'm clicking up here specifically. And see how it just turned blue? That indicates that now MIDI track 1 is selected. Then I can go back over to my core kit and I can double click on it to load it onto that MIDI track. The final thing that I need to do, and I'm just going to turn this little record button off because we don't need it right now, boom. The final thing that we need to do is we need to actually clear this search bar. That's super important. Anytime you search for something, make sure that you clear the search bar when you're done. Otherwise, the only things that you're going to find are going to be things with whatever is in the search bar in the title. So to do so, I can either click in the search bar and use my delete button to go backward, or I can just click on this X one time right here, and it's going to clear the whole search bar. Now, I'd like to make a differentiation between tracks and clips. When I'm speaking about a track, this entire area from the very top to the very bottom, this is a track. When I'm speaking about a clip, I'm talking to these little rectangular sections inside of my track. These two things are not synonymous, so you can't use one word to describe the other. They are two separate yet entwined things. Track is this entire thing. Clip are these little tiny rectangular areas inside of the track. The analogy that I like to use is thinking of your track like it's a dresser, and thinking of each of your clip slots like they are dresser drawers. So the dresser holds the dresser drawers. The track holds the clips. We're going to go ahead and we're going to open up one of those dresser drawers so that we can put some stuff inside of it. To open up one of those dresser drawers, aka clips, we're going to double click on the very first clip slot. Now I just opened up that dresser drawer. And what it did was it revealed this section down here. This is where we're actually going to do our sequencing. I can't see right now all of the different elements that are in my kit over here on the left side of the piano roll. So the first thing I want to do now is I actually want to do some resizing. To do this, I'm going to hover with my mouse. So I'm not clicking, I'm just like hovering on top of this gray line right here that separates the top of my screen from the bottom of my screen. And you'll see that when I hover just right, I get this double arrow cursor. When I have the double arrow cursor, then I can click with my mouse and I can drag up and I can drag down. So go ahead and just like drag all the way up, drag all the way down, and just get used to what the tactility of that feels like. And then land somewhere where you can actually visibly see all of the different sounds that make up your drum kit. Claves, cowbell, cymbal, maracas, high tom, and so on and so forth. At the very bottom, I have the bass drum, which is also known as the kick. We're going to start by making a 1-bar loop today, and I want to show you how to count this grid This grid is divided into 16 parts, which is the default in Ableton, meaning that each one of these tiny little areas, these little squares, is effectively a 16th note. There's 16 of them, just take my word for it. Now, in case it's helpful for you, the way that we actually count this, and it's going to sound funny if you've never heard this before, but this is like, in fact, the academic way that one does this, is I'm going to start up here at the claves, 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and in other languages, there's other ways, there's other phonetic interpretations of this. But in English, we say 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. And this is just a way for us to divide the measure so that we can actually speak about different parts of the measure and have some language for it. Incidentally, bar and measure mean exactly the same thing, so I might use that language interchangeably. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start by putting our kick on the 1, meaning the first 16th note, so right here, right? And the 3, meaning the third quarter note. So it's not a third 16th note, it's a third quarter note. A quarter note is 4 16th notes. So this is a quarter note, and you'll see it's like a darker gray. This is a quarter note, it's a lighter gray. This is a quarter note, darker gray, and this is a quarter note, lighter gray. So the 1 is just like full on the 1, right? And the 3 is actually the first 16th note in the third quarter note. If we were to count it out, it would be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and right? So to enter a note onto the 1, I'm just going to double click with my cursor on the 1 on the bass drum. And then I can count it out. I want to put a kick on the 3. 1 E and 2 E and 3. So I'm going to double click once again. And now I've put a bass drum on the 1 and on the 3. Take a moment and pause the video and get caught up to me so your screen looks like my screen. The next thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put a snare drum on the 2 and on the 4. So when I'm saying the 2 and the 4, I mean the second quarter note, the first 16th note on the second quarter note. So that's this area, right? Here's quarter note 1, here's quarter note 2. It's the lighter gray area. So that's the 2 and the 4. Yeah, so this is the fourth quarter note, and I'm talking about the first 16th note in the fourth quarter note. So we can count this out, and there is no shame in counting. In fact, I suggest that you count for as long as you need to, because at some point what's going to happen is this will become second nature and you won't need that scaffolding anymore. But for the time being, the sooner that you actually are able to count out this grid consistently, the quicker you're going to get that pattern recognition. So use your counting. Here, we're going to count it out together. I'm looking for the 2 and the 4 with my snare drum. 1 E and 2. Double click to add the snare drum. 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and The last thing that we're going to do today is we're going to add a closed hi-hat to our sequence. I'm going to go over to my piano roll and look at the names of the different parts of my drum rack. And here I come across my closed hi-hat. If I wanted to audition the sound of the closed hi-hat, in other words, if I wanted to hear a little sample playback of the closed hi-hat without actually sequencing it, I can click on the piano key associated with that part of the drum rack, and I hear a little sample playing back. If you don't hear your sample playing back when you click on the key, look at the very top of your piano roll on the left-hand side, and you'll see this teeny tiny little headphone icon. If it's gray, then that means you're not going to hear any sample playback because it means that that headphone icon is off. If it's blue, then you'll hear sample playback. So once again, we're going to our closed hat. There it is. And I want to show you a different way to sequence in MIDI notes. This time, instead of double clicking, we're going to use our pencil tool. There's two different ways to access the pencil tool. One is to simply press B, as in Barracuda, on your keyboard, and you can see that my cursor turned into a little pencil. The other way that you can do it is top right-hand corner of your screen, there's this tiny little pencil icon. That's actually a button that turns on and off your pencil option. So also, if I turn it off, and then I'm just back to my regular cursor, look up in the top right-hand corner, and I'm just gonna press B a bunch of times. And you can see that I'm turning that little button on and off as I'm pressing B, right? Okay, so B as in Barracuda, and now we're in our pencil tool. The beauty of the pencil tool is that instead of double clicking, all we have to do is click one time to sequence a note. So going to our closed hi-hat, and I want you to watch me do this before you do it, because I'm going to show you like a movement that you can make to sequence in a bunch of closed hi-hats really quickly. I'm going to click on the very first 16th note of my entire measure, and I'm not letting go of my mouse. So I click down, but I haven't let go yet. And now in one movement, I'm going to drag to the right. Still haven't let go of my mouse. And you can see that I'm essentially drawing in all of these closed hi-hats really quickly in one foul swoop. You can also see that there's a teeny little halo, it's like light blue, around each of the notes, and that means that those notes are currently selected. So to finish what we're doing right now, after you've entered in your string of 16th notes of closed hi-hats, I want you to go ahead and press B as in Barracuda again to get into your regular cursor, and then you just want to click anywhere on the grid one time, and it's going to deselect all of those closed hi-hats. See how there's no longer a blue halo around any of them? Okay, pause the video once again, go ahead and enter in your closed hi-hats using the pencil tool, and then come back to me. So we just sequenced in a simple beat, and now we want to hear playback. The way that we hear playback is we're going to go back up to our clip slot on our track, and you see on the left-hand side how there's a triangle. Triangle is like the universal symbol for play, right? So if we want to play back this clip, we're just going to press on that triangle one time, and it's going to start playing back our clip. The default in Ableton is for the clip to loop, which is awesome, and you'll probably use a lot. If you wanted to make it not loop, what you would have to do is go down here on the left-hand side of the clip editor area. See how there's this bright orange button that says loop? You could turn it off, and then it would just play through one time and stop. But I actually want it to loop, so I'm going to keep that on. Now, when I hit play and this starts looping, it's 1 bar long, so it's going to loop pretty quickly, right? If I want to stop it, what I need to do is I need to press on one of the squares, which is like the universal stop sign, right? I'm going to press on a square on an empty clip slot on my track. I can also press on this square down here at the very bottom of my track, but it doesn't matter which one. I could press on this one, I could press on this one. It just has to be any of the empty clip slots or this very final one down here, and that's going to stop playback. So I'm going to demo this now. First, I'm going to hit play, and then I'm going to hit stop. Play. Stop. Once again, play. Stop. That kick on the 1 and the 3, snare on the 2 and the 4 is an extremely, extremely common skeleton that you'll find for beat making in all kinds of Western contemporary pop music. When I say that, I'm including all kinds of music, really, like all different genres. So like, I mean pop music, like bubblegum pop music. I mean hip hop. I mean rock and roll, and I mean like most of the subgenres that also come off of these different main genres. So what I encourage you to do is I encourage you to utilize this skeleton that I've just showed you of kick on the 1 and the 3, snare on the 2 and the 4, and then just play. Play with different elements of the kit, adding and subtracting them around that skeletal framework. If you got something from this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Ciao, babe.